Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Goldbound Classic Challenge. First of all, thank you once again for the support on the last video. Every comment, every tip, and every bit of feedback really does make this project more enjoyable for me. It's fun to feel like we're exploring this together, step by step. As always, let's quickly go over the rules again for anyone who might be new here. I am bound to one zone until I collect a set amount of gold. I can't take help from other characters, I can't send myself money, and I can't just skip ahead. Items can only come from questing or looting, and I can sell stuff at the auction house, but not buy from there. Once I reach my gold threshold, I unlock the next neighboring zone. In retail, this is also tied to WoW tokens, but since we're in Classic, our Goldbound total is set to 100 gold. Before heading into the series grind for 100 gold, I decided to finish off the last remaining quests in Auberdine. The first on the list was an Escort quest. This one gives you a choice. You can sneak around carefully, trying to avoid combat, or you can clear the path aggressively. Since the rewards were higher and clearing meant more loot and experience in general, I chose the direct approach.
I choose violence.
More enemies defeated, more potential coin in the pocket. Shortly after, I took another Escort quest, this time protecting a Dryad. The quest itself was easy, but there was an immediate problem. I couldn't hand it in. The turn-in NPC was in Ashenvale, which of course I'm locked out of. Then, while wandering nearby, I stumbled onto a quest I never discovered as a teenager. One shot, one kill. I know this one for a while now, but to be fair, without any questing add-ons, I'm not too sure if I would have discovered it by myself. Unfortunately, this too ended up being a to-be-continued situation, as the hand-in is also located in Ashenvale. Learning aspect of the cheetah was a real quality of life improvement. Suddenly, long runs along the shoreline weren't quite as painful anymore. I also put talent points into improving it further, making travel more efficient overall. In a challenge that involves a lot of running around, collecting herbs, fish, and checking for rare spawns, every second counts. The shoreline itself continued to be a reliable farming route. Strangle kelp, fish, and the occasional floating debris kept things moving. The trunks often felt like a lottery. Sometimes it's just junk, sometimes it's genuinely useful, but I guess that is what makes it fun as well. Rare hunting also remained part of my routine. During one of these sweeps, I found Shadowclaw. The name sounds interesting, but in practice, the pet version of this cat has no special abilities or appearances. So instead of taming him, I defeated him and collected his green BOE drop. Sometimes I ventured far into the north. The Naga camps offered something different. Because this area is for higher levels, we got good access to tin veins. And tin veins mean coarse stone, which has consistently sold well at the auction house. Sometimes the secondary materials, not the ore itself, can be more profitable. I was also hoping to encounter Lady Vespera, the rare Naga that roams around this area, but she didn't show up. What I did find, however, was another chest. Chests have become small highlights in this challenge for me. They break up the repetition and carry that sense of reward for exploration. One particularly memorable discovery happened by accident. While searching for more veins near Mist's Edge, I fell down the cliff. Normally just an annoyance, this time it led me to spotting a better chest. After filling my bags, I headed back to Darkshore and checked the auction house. To my surprise, both Swift Fizzle and Bronze Bars were at an all-time high. I listed what I had, hoping to take advantage of those prices. While there, I also made a purchase from a nearby vendor, a new bow for 57 silver. It was expensive at this stage, but as I mentioned in an earlier episode, better damage output means faster farming, which in turn means more gold over time. The investment itself made sense, even if it stung a bit in this moment. On top of that, endless shoreline runs had begun to lose their charm. So I decided to grind some more Filbergs instead and test out my new weapon. As you know by now, I used to spend hours farming them. But they also provide a steady drop of linen cloth, a bunch of copper, and the occasional green BOE that made it worthwhile. I handed in the last remaining quests. One of the rewards was a weapon I had loved when I first played Classic. Unfortunately, it was a sword, and as a night elf hunter locked away from Stormwind, I had no way to train it. So, with a heavy heart, I turned it into a nice amount of silver. The rare spawn hunt continued. The Clutchmother spawned again, dropping another green. Carnivous the Breaker and Lady Moongazer, however, both eluded me for a long while. Eventually, I did manage to track down Carnivous, who dropped a green item just as expected. The Strider Clutchmother, on the other hand, showed up for the third time even. She spawns outside of major quest areas, so it's easier to keep tabs on her. While farming some crawlers along the shore, I also discovered a quote-unquote hidden tin vein. My macro allowed me to swap between tracking veins and tracking herbs with ease, so that was quite handy for locations like this. Back at the mailbox and the auction house, the story was the same as before. Greens don't move quickly, but when they do, it's a nice bomb in gold. Since I went hunting for rares and grinded more humanoid NPCs than usual, I had a bunch of them to auction off. Returning to Auberdine, I also went after Fire Carla Redison, another rare spawn. No luck finding him, but I did get an 8-slot backdrop, which is just as valuable in practice. Backspace is one of those hidden currencies in Classic, especially in a loot-heavy challenge like this. Although Lady Vespera once again was nowhere to be seen, I continued farming the Naga camp. The area was too good to abandon. Herbs, clam meat and ores kept flowing, and the mobs continued to give a little bit of experience. Speaking of clam meat, in the current economy it turned out that it wasn't really worth it selling anymore. So I repurposed it to raise my cooking skill even further. It was satisfying to make use of something that otherwise would have just filled bags. I opened some more trunks, which always was a lot of fun, and headed back to the Nessus, thinking that this trip might be the final one to push ourselves to the Goldbound total. After a good night's sleep, it was time for the most rewarding moment, opening the mailbox. After 1 day and 15 hours of total playtime, the total came to 105 gold, more than enough to break free of Auberdine. With that milestone reached, I upgraded some profession skill caps, purchased a 14-slot bag and trained a few new abilities. After all expenses, I still had around 101 gold left, putting me in a strong position for the next stage. Fishing was the one profession I wasn't able to push further. A viewer suggested that I'm allowed to buy it from the auction house if I kill all the rares in Auberdine, and as you saw, I really tried, but unfortunately couldn't make it. Some of those NPCs spawn in heavily populated questing areas and are very hard to get. I also could have bought it instead of the bag, but 150 fishing should be more than enough for the next zone. No rush in increasing the cap right now. Maybe I get it next time. So, where do we go next? Technically, I could take a ship and explore new lands, but realistically, the next step will be Ashenvale. There are some quests waiting to be handed in. Also, the cookbook that raises cooking to 225 is located in that zone. It's something I need for myself, but it might also become a source of income. Players often pay extra for convenience, and the cookbook fits that category perfectly. Before closing out this episode, I want you to decide which mount I should buy. The spotted frost saber, the striped night saber, or the striped frost saber. Let me know in the comments. I'd like you to decide. I hope you join me in the next episode. For the sake of efficiency, I will probably also create a mail alt, since the flying paths are only going to get longer from here, As always, thank you for watching, have a great day, bye.